There is a whole lot of water in Greensboro. Don't believe me? Just visit the Greensboro Science Center and the Sciquarium. We're inside the Sciquarium, and Glenn Overgoes is the executive director here at the Greensboro Science Center. A lot of new and exciting things happening, and things you won't see anywhere else.
Right, and we're actually standing next to my favorite animal in the entire aquarium, the Asiatic fishing cats. We tried to design an aquarium where you see things that are iconic and wonderful, but also unexpected. Who's ever seen a cat that swims in an aquarium?
Wait a minute, I thought cats didn't like the water.
Well, tigers do and fishing cats do. That's about it. Maybe a jaguar occasionally. So this is the only small cat on the planet that actually likes to get in the water and swim. Now, he's not swimming for us right now, but when you put fish in that water, he'll jump right in, try to predate on them. It's a wonderful thing to watch. But also, it's the most endangered species in the entire building. This is part of an SSP breeding program, species survival plan, and Tallulah, who's not in here right now, she's in the back resting for the morning. When they're together and they're still young and still working things out, but once they start breeding, this will be an amazing breeding program where those offspring become those original animals for hopefully someday to start a reintroduction program back in their native lands of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Southeast Asia. So they've been wiped out for a lot of different reasons, but zoos like ours are trying to bring them back. The way you have to work out a fishing cat exhibit is you have to bring a mature, older female in first. It becomes her space, she dominates the location. Then you bring a younger, more naive male in, and he learns to get along with her. Otherwise, because he's so much larger, he could dominate her. So we did that, and it's working out beautifully. It's a great exhibit, it really is. But hopefully someday, when you come back, you'll see them actually swimming and diving.
And maybe some babies, too.
And lots of babies in the future, we hope, yes.
The otters are one of the favorites of visitors here at the Sciquarium, and you can't always find them. In fact, you might not even know how many are actually in there. I didn't know.
They blend in with that brown environment pretty well, don't they? But right now, we have mom and dad and 4 babies that were born here. The first babies of the Sciquarium were our Asian small-clawed otters, and they're another endangered species, and we bred almost immediately, and now we have more babies. And so, and mom actually just went through a false pregnancy recently. So once these babies grow up a little bit more and are sent off to other facilities for their own breeding programs, I have a feeling we'll have more babies on the way. So very successful.
And one of the neat things about this exhibit is that children and grown-ups can actually kind of go inside the exhibit.
Yeah, you can go down on your knees and look under the water, or you can go to that dome over there and be inside the exhibit. Occasionally, they'll actually sit on top of that dome, and you're right there. And occasionally also they'll go to the bathroom on the dome, which is a great, great family memory, you know?
These guys are really worth the visit all by themselves, I think. At least my family loves the penguins. They're so social.
They really are. I mean, to have a penguin literally 3 inches away from you is pretty darn cool. And now they're having babies like crazy in the back. So it is an amazing experience. When we started building this, we always knew penguins and sharks would always be part of the aquarium. And now it proves out because you watch the visitors, and they love touching the stingrays, don't get me wrong, but the penguins and the sharks on the opposite ends of the building are always the biggest draw. That was very intentional.
And how many penguins do you have? Well, let's say, how many did you start with, and how many do you have now?
Well, we have 18 penguins, and now the 2 babies, another baby in the back that recently hatched, another baby that is pipping as we speak, and then some more eggs. So when it's all said and done, we could have, what, 27 birds.
That's a lot of birds.
There's something in the water here in Greensboro, I guess, because, you know, we were thinking originally, oh, it's hard to breed penguins. Now we can't stop. So it's a very good problem to have. They are an endangered species, probably one of the most endangered animals from a penguin perspective in the world. Populations in South Africa have declined so much that breeding programs are becoming that much more popular, and we're helping to lead that now. It's a really cool feeling.
That's a really exciting thing. And explain again, you mentioned on it, these are South African penguins, which are used to warmer weather. They're not the cold penguins.
Right. Most people think penguins in freezing cold temperatures. South Africa is a temperate climate. These are temperate penguins. This water is about 65 degrees, maybe 60, and the outside temperature in there is about 60 degrees. So it's kept cool, but not cold. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
They're really friendly.
Very friendly, and we're going to start behind-the-scenes tours here at some point in the future. We just have so many babies in the back, it's just hard to schedule it, but we will be having tours where people can get up close and personal with these guys.
Well, this is about as up close as you can get.
True.
Okay, now we're moving to the fish side of the aquarium. And, you know, lots of people have fish tanks in their home, but probably not any fish like this guy.
Well, actually, they do. You can buy arowana, which is what that fish is,
Really?
for home consideration, this guy lived in somebody's home here in Greensboro for like 15 years. It obviously is quite large, grew too big for the space, and donated it here to the Science Center. Cool story about him, though, is that I think he was a little depressed when he got here. He wasn't used to not seeing his parents. It took a couple of months of him in a back tank, of us having to go in and actually hand feed him because he wouldn't eat on his own. He was sad, we think. We don't know that for sure. But over time, he eventually said, okay, I get it, this is cool, big space, and he started eating on his own, and all was good.
And lots of new friends to say hello to every
Now
day.
he's a star. I mean, that is one prehistoric looking fish. He's just really cool. But everything in here from the Amazon is kind of unique and prehistoric. One of my favorites is he just looks like a brown fish down here. That's a vampire tetra. If you look at him up close, he has fangs like a vampire would have. In the wild, they're incredible predators that would, of course, eviscerate and eat prey all around them. But here, the keeper staff are so good, the aquarist staff, they just keep them well fed every single day, go in there and hand feed everybody, and so the predation is virtually nil. In the wild, they'd eat all each other up. But here in the captivity, the staff manage it, and they actually live like a family.
Very cool. Snakes are always a popular item to see.
And what's an Amazon exhibit without an anaconda, right? Now, this is a 14-foot, 100-pound animal. Has been at the Science Center for many years. I think about 2 decades. Came to us, I think Rick told me, about 18 inches long. Now it's 14 feet long. A very popular animal. We don't go in with it much, but I think every other Thursday we do a live feeding demonstration with some thawed-out rabbits. And people surround the exhibit. They love it. He's got to eat too, you know.
Well, this is a science center, and so part of learning is actually touching, feeling, getting dirty, getting wet, and you can do that right here.
And we always knew this would be popular, but when we opened this thing, 18 months ago, this is where most of the people stood, because they wanted that tactile sense of, I'm going to communicate with an animal in a simple way, touching. And, you know, it's a challenge, though. I mean, a tank like this, with that many hands in it, guess what? It gets dirty. Hand lotions, hand gels, dirt on people's hands, all goes in. You'll see just how intense and how expensive and how large the filtration is just for this tank alone with all those hands going in. So we encourage it, but it's also quite the challenge to keep this water quality really high quality for the species. But you can't beat it, though. To be able to get that close to a stingray and not be afraid of it is a pretty amazing thing.
So we are behind the scenes now at the Sciquarium. And in fact, if you look at the building when you're coming in, you think, this is a huge building, and then you come inside and you think, wait, where's the rest of it? Well, this is the rest of it.
People don't realize it's 50% of the space is behind the scenes, but we like to take people back there, like we are right now, to learn about the science of managing an aquarium. So right now you're in our laboratory. This is where the science takes place. Water quality testing every single day, 24 hours a day, make sure that all the water is, stable for the animals. Our holding and quarantine areas, we have freshwater quarantine, saltwater quarantine. Every animal that comes in here goes through a minimum 45-day quarantine to make sure they're parasite-free. Imagine putting accidentally a parasite into our big, huge shark tank. It would be about $15,000 to $25,000 to treat it, to try to get rid of those parasites. So you have to be very proactive on this side. I also like these new bamboo sharks that are right here. They've only been here, I guess, about 2 weeks or so. They all come in here. People can still see. They can still see what we're doing behind the scenes, but they're still isolated. They're protected, and they get to learn a little bit about what it takes to manage such a large aquarium. I mean, we're a relatively small aquarium. Imagine something like the Georgia Aquarium that has millions and millions of gallons. It really is a huge operation. The science and STEM behind it is enormous. And we love to show that. We love to teach about that. We don't want to be a typical aquarium. We want to be a science-based aquarium, hence the Sciquarium.
All right, still behind the scenes, and Rick Bowling here now with a brand new animal coming to the Sciquarium. Very carefully.
He's a little rambunctious individual.
Oh, he is a little wiry.
This is called a caiman lizard, and some people have heard the word caiman before because a caiman is actually a crocodilian, related to the crocodiles and alligators from South America. This is called a caiman lizard for a couple of reasons. He resembles a little bit of the crocodilian look because of the kind of bumps and scale pattern on him. He also looks a little bit prehistoric-like. If you look at his head, he almost looks kind of like a raptor or something like that.
I can't help jumping when he does that, by the way.
He's a good tail whipper. But these guys are pretty interesting. They're semi-aquatic, and they're from the Amazon River Basin in South America. And so they frequently bask on logs right over the water. and then they'll just dive right into the water, and they're good swimmers. And their main diet are aquatic snails. And so their teeth, instead of real sharp pointy teeth for ripping like, say, flesh and stuff, they're kind of rounded so they can crack the shell on small snails and eat them. And we offer him snails. We also give him fish. We give him a little bit of whole rodents like small mice to eat. And we are moving him to a new holding area because he was a lot smaller. He's up to about 22 inches, and how much does he weigh now? He's up to over 300 grams. These guys will get 3 feet long. And so we're letting him grow a little bit before we introduce him into our Amazon exhibit. And we're hoping that he will bask over the logs there and then go down and swim around. Something new and interesting here. So we wanted to move him up here into a larger holding tank. You ready, buddy? Oh, there he goes.
This is our introductory tank. Every animal that's going to go into our big tank has to start back here. The reason being is if those sharks pick up any nervous energy, electrical energy, they could attack. So we put the animal back here for a few days, it calms down, the water's connected, then you open up that guillotine door, they swim in like they're part of the family. These two guys are back here temporarily because of minor injuries. The stingray has a little tiny white spot on its back. Looks like no big deal, right? The problem is, the sharks aren't the problem, it's the little tiny fish on exhibit. They like to go pick, 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 and pick at it, like a scab. And so we just give them time to back here to heal, and this one moray eel that's back here, all kind of squashed in there, it and another moray got into a little tussle, and it's got a little tiny scar on its side. We're letting that heal as well. So
you have to watch so carefully to keep up with the animals and their health.
The keeper staff, the aquarium staff watch the animals every day. In fact, they even take pictures on exhibit of a school of fish. I mean, people ask, how do you know the sharks aren't eating all the fish? They actually take a picture, a still on a digital camera of a school swimming by, and you count the fish in it. So we know and monitor every fish in the tank every single day. It really is a cool thing, and we have lost so very few fish. The average aquarium loses maybe 5, even more, 10% per year. I don't think we've lost maybe 1% in here. And you know, sharks are sharks. They'll do what they have to do, but they're so well fed, and we also manage their appetite with water temperature, that we can manage their appetite and keep it to a minimum.
It is so beautiful up here. Do you come here every day and just take a couple of moments to breathe it in?
Easy answer, yes. If you have a bad day, this is where you come. It's just the coolest spot to look down on these amazing animals, know that they're happy, they're healthy. It's just, for us, you know, we brought in almost every fish that's in here at only about 4 inches long. And so they've grown up here. This is their space, this is their home. The exception would be the sharks and the rays, but they've done extraordinarily well here. And the amount of planning, 2 years of planning to design this. Between the corals, bringing in the fish, the giant biofilters, the giant protein filters all behind us, all of it has to work perfectly together to keep the water quality where it is. And then once the fish are in here, it's even more of a challenge because, you know, fish have to eat. Sharks have to eat. So then every single day we do a feeding demonstration for the visitors, for the sharks. And the number one question we get is, how do you keep the sharks, again, from eating all the fish? We do that by feeding them well. In the wild, they might eat, you know, once or twice a week, if at best. But we also, all these fish came to us originally at 76-degree water. We've now moved that down to 72-degree water. And with that water temperature, it quells the appetite and it minimizes the predation that takes place inside the tank. So this is a really cool spot. It's just, you can watch it for hours. It is gracefully gliding by. We got 7 sharks, 3 rays, 3 eels, and about 380 fish.
And the view from the other side is not bad either, you have to admit.
So the view from the other side obviously is spectacular, and that was designed for the visitors. And also the design was intentional. Notice it's very bright up front and very dark in the back. It creates the illusion that the tank is bigger. It also allows the fish to come back to a darker area to rest. And it also creates the sense that the animals are emerging from the abyss of the ocean. So it works in 3 different ways, but it works really, really well.
Beautiful. All the exhibits, all the touching the animals, all the shows associated with the Sciquarium are included with your regular admission to the Greensboro Science Center. And you can find out all about all the different fun things going on here by going to their website, which is greensboroscience.org.